51 Chapter 51 You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. However, this was certainly not enough. With the activation of the talent for simulation, Dick quickly changed the identity to another dead person in the process of the escape, carefully leaving his original smell. Although if he did so, his smell would definitely be remembered by the forest demonic wolf, he couldn't care so much now. When he attacked the forest demonic wolf later, he just needed to use simulation and change his identity. Far away from the periphery of the core area, he took out a corpse of a magical beast, simply arranged it, and rubbed the smell of his identity that he had created with his talent of simulation against that area. The strong smell of the blood of the magical beast drifted away under the deliberate control of Dick. Before the demonic wolves found here, it would definitely attract magical beasts. When the demonic wolves found this place, they could only find the corpses on the ground and the traces of being bitten by the magical beasts. In this way, the scene where a person who had successfully attacked a forest demonic wolf was attacked to death by a magical beast and eaten up by the magical beasts that were attracted by the subsequent bloody smell appeared. At this time, countless angry wolf howls were coming from the core area in the distance. The howl of the Wolf King was particularly frightening. Dick didn't dare to stay too long. He imitated the identity of another person and soon hid in the forest. He didn't dare to stay where he was and peep at whether the demonic wolves would come here or they believe the scene he had set up. The pressure brought by the Wolf King was as huge as a mountain. Dick couldn't imagine what he would look like if he was found by the angry wolves at such a short distance. There must be no hope of escape. After escaping from the core area, Dick ran to the middle area without looking back. It was not until he reached the edge of the middle area that he realized that his clothes had already been wet with cold sweat. His highly tensed nerves collapsed at this moment. He fell to the ground and gasped heavily. Along the way, he had to consider speed and concealment, which made his energy decline very fast. At this time, there were only a little more than 100. Pressing his dizzy head, Dick climbed up a tree. He didn't stop in the middle of the tree trunk, he stopped until he reached the top. Then he carefully dispelled the smell that he left. He needed some rest. At least the next day, he didn't want to continue hunting the magical beasts. The 2 demonic wolves he had killed just now provided Dick with 300 experience points, which were even more than the result of the 6 magical beasts he had killed previously. It could be imagined how terrifying the demonic wolves were in the forest. Even on the same level, the experience points the demonic wolves offered were much more than the ordinary magical beasts. Gasping for breath, Dick looked in the direction of the core area. In the layers of fog, Dick couldn't help but stop breathing. The world seemed to have fallen into silence. Dick felt that his heart was gripped by a huge palm, and his whole body trembled involuntarily. It was a fear of strength. In the direction of the core area, a huge tornado rose into the sky. Even in the position of Dick, he could feel the violent tearing. It was conceivable that if Dick still stayed in the core area, he would be torn apart by this fierce wind. That was not the power that an ordinary magical beast could achieve. It was the authority that only the Beastmaster level of the mutated magical beast could have. Wind controlling. Compared with the talent for manipulating the fierce wind, the flow manipulation was like a child's water spear in front of it. This made Dick realize the gap between them. Dick broke out in a cold sweat again. He finally realized how lucky he was just now. If it weren't for this opportunity, he wouldn't have escaped from the core area. It lasted for more than 10 minutes before the strong wind finally dissipated. A long howl burst out from the core area. All the people and the magical beasts who heard the howl covered their ears in pain and couldn't help but want to kneel. This was the roar of the king in the fog forest. For people and the magical beasts of lower levels like them, it was no different from a terrifying deterrent. However, Dick also sensed a trace of helplessness from the roar of the Wolf King, which seemed to be generated for the reason that it was unable to avenge its companions. Dick breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that the scene he had set up had convinced the Wolf King that his previous identity was equivalent to a dead person in the eyes of these wolves. They wouldn't go to search for him outside the core area, nor would they slaughter the players who had entered the fog forest. But he still had to tell Edward and others about it. After all, with their current level, they could already enter the periphery of the core area of the fog forest. It would be bad if they met the demonic wolves in the forest. So Dick sent a message to Edward, briefly describing the appearance of the demonic wolf and reminding him to be careful. Although Edward was curious about why Dick had something to do with the horrible roar just now, he thought about Dick's strength and didn't ask anything more. He just said that he would tell his companions to be careful. After resting on the tree for a while, Dick finally relaxed. The joy of surviving the disaster, coupled with the surprise of killing 2 demonic wolves, made Dick temporarily forget the fear just now. The explosive rate of 10% brought a level D treasure box to Dick. He opened it without hesitation. Level 0.3 items. Wind badge. The user could get the affinity of the wind element. Defense plus 20, agility plus 10. The description of this item was a little vague, but when Dick put this wind badge on his coat, he instantly understood its function. Although the property of agility had only been increased by 10 points, Dick felt that his body was integrated with the surrounding air currents and every movement of his body was pushed by the surrounding air currents. Although it was just a small affinity, it made Dick feel like he was integrated with the wind. It was so wonderful, as if he could travel thousands of miles in the wind in an instant. Then Dick turned to look at the 2 corpses of the demonic wolves he had just killed. 52 Chapter 52 You are listening at novelfull.audio. System, Plunder. Plundering. Plunder succeeded. Congratulations to you for obtaining the level C talent. Flow Manipulation. The 2 same talents automatically overlapped and evolved into the level B talent. Flow Controlling. As expected, the 2 same talents Dick got from the corpses of the demonic wolves overlapped automatically and evolved into a stronger flow controlling. With the help of the wind badge, Dick's current ability to control the flow was even better than that of an ordinary forest demonic wolf. Although he couldn't compare with the Wolf King, it wouldn't be tricky for him to deal with such a dangerous situation if he met an ordinary forest demonic wolf. At this time, the chatting channel flashed. Confused, Dick opened it and saw the wailing crowd. Do you know that number 666 Green, Hand Village newly announced the progress of the upgrade of the man named Galen. There are less than 500 experience points from the next level. What? How could he be so fast? We've tried our best to help Edward, but we still can't catch up with them. Alas, Galen's level is higher than ours, so the level of the magical beasts he can hunt is naturally higher. In addition, they have defeated so many Green Hand villages before, so the resources there must be several times more than ours. That's right. Does that mean we are going to lose? No way. This time, the amount of resources is not 20%, but half. If we lose half of the resources, how can we upgrade? The chat channel of number 1002548 Green Hand Village was in chaos, but the chat channel of number 666 Green Hand Village was in an uproar. Everyone was trying their best to praise Galen, and at the same time, they were also insulting the people of number 1002548 Green Hand Village with all kinds of filthy words. Dick frowned. The speed of Galen's upgrade was indeed beyond his imagination. Edward, the top-ranked warrior in their group, had not improved by half so far. If the situation continued to maintain, there was no doubt that number 1002548 Green Hand Village would lose this resource gambling. No, he couldn't go on resting. It seemed that he needed to walk inside. Only in the core area could there be a higher level magical beast. Hunting and killing the mutated magical beasts could also get more experience points. Dick made up his mind. He deftly bent a branch and bounced his body to the periphery of the core area with the rebound force of the trunk. Although he had just provoked the demonic wolves in the forest, as long as he was more careful and hid his original smell, he would not be found. He smeared the scent of the magical beast's corpse on his body, but he felt it was not safe, so he took out a beast's skin and put it on his body. In this way, as long as he was not very close, or he took the initiative to expose himself, the magical beasts would definitely not find him. In the air, Dick carefully activated the skill of butterfly wings to adjust his flight trajectory and searched for his target. Soon, he found a valley. This place was located in the middle of the core area, not far from the forest wolves. More importantly, in such a dark valley, there must be all kinds of magical insects. They were not the food of the forest wolves, so the possibility of encountering the forest wolves was greatly reduced. It was known that most of the magical insects living in the dark valley were highly toxic, which could be known from books and common sense. And there was a special buff named immune to all poison attacks on Dick. This meant that he didn't care about the attack of these poisonous insects at all. Dick's body fell into the valley like a big bird. The loud noise immediately alarmed all the poisonous insects in the valley. Dick landed in the center of the valley. Immediately, countless poisonous insects popped out their heads from every part of the valley. Looking at the various poisons in front of him, Dick smiled happily. The level of these poisonous insects was not lower than LV-14. Some of them were even several meters long. The colorful bodies indicated the severe poison, but Dick just let the insects attack him. Dick was constantly in a state of immune, which was caused by the attack of these poisonous magical insects. On the contrary, Dick's moonlight machete had never stopped. From the top of the valley, Dick's body was like a shining moon now. Countless blade lights came out of the huge light ball and cut the bodies of the poisonous insects into pieces. With the talent of flow controlling, Dick's battle became more smooth. His body floated in the valley like the wind, and those poisonous insects would die miserably under Dick's knife before they could even launch their own attacks. Layers upon layers of poisonous blood splashed on the ground of the valley. This valley with countless highly toxic magical beasts had never encountered such a tragic scene since its existence. But now, it was the end of the poisonous magical insects. Bottles after bottles of venom spilled out from Dick's hands. Although the venom of the magical insects was ineffective to Dick, the venom made by Dick was fatal to the magical beasts. Because of their habits, they all had a strong sense of intimacy with these poisons. However, when they wanted to absorb these poisons to strengthen themselves according to their habits, they would be killed by the fragrant venom. Ladies and gentlemen, in number 1002548 Green, Hand Village, we're going to announce it again. Mr. Galen is only 100 experience points away from being promoted to the next level. You will definitely lose this resource gambling. The number 666 Green, Hand Village was still complacent, but now the number 1002548 Green, Hand Village had no time to talk to them. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the ranking list. On the ranking list, each person's name was followed by their own level and their own experience. Since more than 10 minutes ago, Dick's experience base had risen rapidly like a rocket. The rapid growth made everyone forget their own business and stare at the experience bar after Dick's name. Oh my God! What on earth has Dick done? His experience. If it goes on like this, I'm afraid a few minutes will be enough. Oh my God! Please tell me, what I saw is true. Am I really dreaming? All kinds of voices quickly flashed through the chat channel of number 1002548 Green, Hand Village. Now, all the eyes of the Green, Hand Village were focused on Dick. 53 Chapter 53 You are listening at novelfull.audio. Our Galen is about to reach the next level. He only needs 100 experience points. Are you ready for your failure? Number 666 Green, Hand Village made a bluster, but it didn't attract anyone's attention on the regional chat channel. In other words, only number 666 Green, Hand Village and other spectators were still watching the regional chat channel. No, what's going on? These bugs should have jumped out and scolded us. Where are they now? I guess they have already accepted the fate of failure. Maybe they are trembling with fear now. That's right. After all, Galen is the best. It's time for them to see the end. The people of number 666 Green, Hand Village were discussing happily as if they had won. The original victory should belong to number 666 Green, Hand Village. At this moment, Galen was hunting the last magical beast. As long as he cut off the throat of the magical beast, he could get the 100 experience points and upgrade to the next level. However, when his machete was just pressed against the throat of the magical beast, a sound suddenly fell from the sky. Dick in number 1002548 Green, Hand Village has been promoted to LV15. Number 1002548 Green, Hand Village won the resources gambling. All resources of number 1002548 Green, Hand Village doubled, and everyone's attribute increased by 20 points. All the resources of number 666 Green, Hand Village were reduced by half, and the attribute was deducted by 20 points. Dick took the lead in the upgrade. Dick won, and he will be rewarded with an extra 50 points and a level .C treasure box. Galen felt that his strength was suddenly flowing away, and even the magical beast, which was about to be cut off its throat by him, disappeared. It was impossible. How could he lose? It was obvious that the people in the number 1002548 Green, Hand Village were a group of losers. Their grades were lower than his, and even the time they entered the regional chat channel was far behind theirs. How could someone upgrade so fast? Galen suddenly knelt on the ground. He felt dizzy and didn't dare to accept the fact. The number 666 Green, Hand Village also wailed. Many people watched Galen fall down one step away from victory. They couldn't accept such a result. However, in number 1002548 Green, Hand Village, the atmosphere was somewhat quiet now. Even the chatting channel, which was usually filled with all kinds of messages, was quiet. Dick's upgrade was incredibly fast. When they were about to lose, he could even make vigorous efforts to turn the tide, which made many people feel unreal. We should have won, right? Do you also feel like dreaming? Yes, I also think I'm dreaming. Who can pinch me so that I can wake up from this dream? My dear God, if it's a dream, please let me wake up as soon as possible. The dream is so beautiful that I'm afraid I can't bear it in reality. After a long time, there were only a few words expressing their unreality. Edward rubbed his temples with a bitter smile and typed a sentence on the chat channel. Well, stop sighing about the dream. There will only be one Dick and one world. We are not in a dream now but reality. With Edward's words, the whole chat channel began to boil, and the cheering crowd could be seen everywhere. In this Green, Hand Village, which had been doubled in size, it would be easier for them to upgrade and obtain resources in the future. Oh my God! I really want to marry Dick. He is so handsome, powerful and elegant. This is the second time he has created a miracle. I declare that from now on, Dick is my star. I hope that Dick can always guide me in the direction of development. Let's cheer for Dick together. Mr. Dick, please say something. Everyone wants to know how you got the upgrade. Yeah. I've never heard of such a speed before. If I didn't see it with my own eyes, no one would believe it, right? Where is Dick? We have talked for a long time. Why didn't we see him? Look, Dick's experience bar is still rising. He must be still hunting the magical beasts. Indeed, Dick's experience bar didn't slow down but increased even faster. All the resources were doubled. Although he had killed more than half of the poisonous magical insects in the valley where Dick was, they were immediately added back when the resources were doubled. Dick seemed to face more enemies at the same time, so he should be in a dangerous situation. But in fact, after he was promoted to another level, Dick only felt happy now. the poisonous magical insects could not stop his body at all. Under the moonlight machete, countless poisonous magical insects were divided into two parts. Dick didn't stop killing until the sunset and the moon rose. At this moment, there were corpses all over the valley, and no magical beasts or poisonous insects could survive and run away under Dick's knife. The valley full of toxins was slaughtered by Dick within one day. He stood in the valley and looked up at the sky. He felt as if his body was rising with the wind and rising straight into the sky. Now his level was only less than half of that experience points to the LV-16. With his current ability, as long as he didn't meet the demonic Wolf King face to face, he was confident to retreat. From the bodies of these poisonous insects, Dick had plundered dozens of different talents. Most of their talents were related to toxins. After plundering, they actually pushed Dick's venom-strengthening talent to level B, and the various treasure boxes attracted Dick's attention. However, it was obvious that he couldn't wear all these things. In the end, he only chose the level .3 item venom gloves and put them on his hands. After comparing the other items, Dick found that they were not as practical as his original suit. Although there were many items with strong poison and they would certainly become very powerful weapons in the battle, they were not suitable for Dick's way of fighting, and the properties and skills they provided were not as good as the Savage Bear suit, so he didn't change. Dick stretched himself, but he didn't feel tired. Instead, he felt very excited. Why didn't he go to the location of the wolves in the forest again? Maybe he could find something unexpected at night. 54 Chapter 54 You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dick thought. He didn't check the chat channel at all. Now all his attention was on the magical beasts. On the way to the core area, Dick became bolder this time. In less than half an hour, he arrived at the place where the wolves inhabited the forest before. Simulation talent activated. Dick changed his breath and completely became another person. He peeled off the skin from the forest demonic wolf he had hunted before and put it on himself. Then he slowly approached the core area. He held his breath. Under the moonlight, hundreds of giant wolves were lying on the grassland. Under the cover of the fog, this group of giant wolves was like demons in an abyss. It seemed that it was not too much to call them hell. Even now, when Dick saw these wolves, he still had a creepy feeling. The roar of the forest wolf king still echoed in his mind. But now most of the wolves in the forest had entered a state of laziness. Although their companions had just been killed this morning, in this jungle where the weak were the prey of the strong, no magical beasts would be as fragile as human beings because of their companions' death. The scale of the wolves doubled as the resources, which gave Dick a headache. In that case, wouldn't it be more difficult for him to carry out his task? However, with more magical beasts and more resources, it was not a bad thing. The task was difficult. He only needed to improve his strength before carrying out it. His purpose this time was not to hunt down the Wolf King but to find some flaws that could kill the wolves. After defeating number 666 Green, Han Village, it seemed that other Green, Han villages who were hostile to number 1002548 Green, Han Village would also be quiet for a while. He could take advantage of this opportunity to hunt the demonic wolves to improve his strength, and at the same time find a way to enter the dark castle to have a look. In fact, the core of the fog forest where the forest wolves were located was a huge basin. Such a terrain could better gather heat and provide a comfortable living environment for the forest wolves. After observing the terrain, Dick suddenly came up with a solution, which was enough to kill the wolves. If possible, he could set up traps around the basin. When the wolves slacked off, he could kill them all with poison. Even a strong wolf king couldn't be completely immune to poison attacks, could it? Thinking of this, Dick couldn't help but rub his hands excitedly. The last time he came here, he was too hasty and careful. Otherwise, the wolves' defense of the first attack should be the smallest and he could get the biggest harvest. Lowering his body, Dick left quietly. Although he had made a plan, it was not the time to implement it. The basin in the core area was large. If Dick wanted to completely cover it with poison, he couldn't do it only by his current means. If he was given some time to prepare, he was 100% sure that the poison would turn the core area into a land of death. In the past, although Dick could refine strong venom, he could not say that he could definitely kill the Beastmaster-level mutated magical beast who was much stronger than him with the poison. But don't forget that Dick had just swept through a valley full of poisonous insects. Now, the venom Dick had grasped must be unique in both quantity and species. Venom.strengthening talent activated. Dick mixed these hundreds of poisons. The severe poison reaction made Dick's eyebrows twitch. He saw the poisonous gas slowly rise and even corrode the fog that never dissipated all year round in the fog forest. This was not only the poison within the scope of normal people's comprehension but also a peerless poison that could really cause a change in the natural environment. Then Dick took some materials here and made some simple throwing tools. With simple control, he could trigger the mechanism and bounce the special medicine 100 meters away. Of course, these things were all made by Dick using the bones and muscles of the magical beasts. If not, how could he achieve such a far throw effect only by a simple mechanism? When Dick finished all this, it was already dawn. He put all the things in front of him into the storage ring, and a satisfied smile appeared on Dick's face. During the daytime, the wolves would go hunting at the junction of the middle layer of the fog forest and the core area. Dick had already known it when he came last time. This time, Dick waited patiently until the wolves left. Dick had found the two demonic wolves, one was in view and the other was concealed. Perhaps because of the last attack, the Wolf King became alert. The two giant wolves left this time were obviously much stronger than the last time. But Dick wouldn't alert them or hunt them. His purpose was to capture all the wolves. If he killed these two demonic wolves now, although he would get some benefits, it would definitely arouse the vigilance of the wolves. When the night fell, his action would not be so smooth. Although the two demonic wolves had received the previous warning, they were very nervous all day long and paid attention to the changes around them all the time. However, under Dick's disguise, the two demonic wolves didn't find any clues at all. They just thought it was a peaceful day. As the dusk fell, Dick heard the sound of wolves. It was the Wolf King who had brought the wolves back. A strong smell of the blood rushed straight to the forehead of Dick. The magical beast brought back by these demonic wolves was several times larger than them, but they easily bit it and dragged it to the ground. Seeing that there was nothing wrong with the sentry of the demonic wolves arranged by it, the Wolf King seemed to be very happy and began to eat with the wolves. Hundreds of demonic wolves ate from dusk to midnight. They even threw all the bones they had eaten out of the core area. When the demonic wolves snuggled up in groups and enjoyed the pleasant time after enjoying their meal, they didn't know that the door of hell had been slowly opened for them, waiting for them to step in. Dick's body shuttled through the bushes like a ghost, grasping every throwing device in his hand. 55 Chapter 55 You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Wolf King curled up into a ball. Even this king in the fog forest needed a rest. It was still a beast, longing for warm fur and grass. The long-term peace and warmth in the core area of the fog forest paralyzed its nerves. Under the gentle wind, the Wolf King was sleepy. It was the king here, and their race was the pinnacle of the fog forest. No one would dare to come here to assault them, and no magical beasts would dare to do so. Yesterday, it was just a small accident. The human who accidentally entered here killed two weaker demonic wolves with his strength. But that human was also seriously injured. He was swallowed by the magical beast when he escaped. So that must be an accident. We are still the peak group in this fog forest. With this thought, the Wolf King slowly closed its eyes, buried his nose in the warm fur, breathed the familiar smell of the forest, and slowly fell asleep. With the enhancement of the visual mutation talent, Dick keenly captured the state of the Wolf King. He was so happy that his mouth could not close. This was a heaven-sent opportunity for him. But he needed to move forward a little bit, and only a little bit would be enough. Dick bent down and slowly crawled forward along the grass. He didn't stop until he was several hundred meters away from the wolves. Dick had been spotted at this distance last time, so he wouldn't move forward rashly. This position was enough. The body of the Wolf King appeared in front of him. Although there were hundreds of demonic wolves in the middle, it was not a hindrance to Dick at all. Dream illusion talent aimed at a single target. As long as the target was within the range of his control, even if he didn't touch the target, it could completely fall into the illusion. What Dick wanted was to make the strongest Wolf King unable to play the role when its race was in chaos. The Wolf King was immersed in its sleep as if it had come to a kingdom that only belonged to it. There was everything it dreamed of: warm grass, warm wind and bright sunshine. Intoxicated in it, it took a walk leisurely with its 4 claws. It couldn't remember how long it hadn't enjoyed such a leisurely time. Ever since it was born in the mist forest, it had been living a bloody life every day, and it had never been so relieved. Dick smiled. Looking at the state of the Wolf King, he knew that no matter how ferocious and cunning the Wolf King was, it could only indulge itself in its dream after hitting his dream illusion. After all, the magical beast was only the magical beast, not a human, nor was it as highly resistant as Dick. For them, after being attacked by such illusory skills, they were basically at the mercy of others. Now, Dick could rest assured to carry out his plan boldly. He gently triggered all the triggers in his hand, and with a whistling sound, all the demonic wolves raised their heads. They suddenly turned from a leisurely state to a fighting state, vigilantly searching for the intruders. However, they didn't find anything alive. Instead, they saw countless bottles falling from the high sky. At this moment, all the demonic wolves were confused. If there was a magical beast or a human sneak attack, they would not be so surprised. But now, these bottles falling from the sky made them at a loss. The fragrance of the broken bottles soon spread to the whole pack of wolves along with the wind in the basin. To their surprise, when their bodies touched the fragrance, they became soft and feeble in an instant. They just wanted to have a rest, but when they fell down, their bodies had already turned into dust. The shrill howls of wolves echoed in the basin. In a flash, more than a dozen demonic wolves turned into ashes. However, the resistance of these demonic wolves was really beyond Dick's expectations. Although those demonic wolves above LV-16 were also poisoned, they did not immediately turn into ashes like other demonic wolves. Although they had become sluggish and their fighting capacity had been greatly reduced, they were still dragging the Wolf King that was still in its dream, desperately fleeing. Many demonic wolves had come to their senses. They activated their talent, manipulated the flow, and tried to drive the venom out of the basin. It had to be said that the wind wolves could somehow restrain Dick's poison. As long as they could successfully move the venom out of the basin, they could avoid being killed by the venom. Dick pulled out the moonlight machete. Of course, it was impossible for him to watch these wolves interrupt his plan so smoothly. Dick jumped up from the grass quickly. He waved the machete in his hand left and right, and a circular wheel of light formed around his body. Those weak demonic wolves were unable to resist Dick's attack at all. In an instant, they were divided into 2 parts. Although some of the venoms had been dispersed by the demonic wolves, their efforts were almost unbearable in front of Dick's high-level talent for flow controlling. The huge poisonous clouds were blown by Dick and continued to chase the demonic wolves. The Wolf King only felt that its body became very light, and it seemed to smell a faint fragrance in its nose. Although its intuition told it that it was the fragrance of flowers, it sensed that something was wrong. After all, it was the Beastmaster of the mutated magical beast. When the clear fragrance became thicker and thicker, it finally sensed something unusual. An angry roar came from its mouth. At this moment, the demonic Wolf King finally broke free from Dick's dream. Dick grinned. He was still a little slow. The worst situation had happened. The demonic Wolf King had broken away from his control. Now he could only fight against the Wolf King head on. A terrifying whirlwind rose into the sky. In front of the talent of the Wolf King's wind controlling, Dick's venom instantly lifted to the sky and then turned into nothingness in the violent wind. The Wolf King licked its white teeth and let out a horrible howl at Dick. It was like a heavy hammer hitting Dick's chest, making his heart tremble involuntarily. 56 Chapter 56 You are listening at novelfull.audio. He stumbled back 2 steps and supported himself with the moonlight machete in his hand to prevent himself from falling. Yes, you are indeed a beastmaster. I am too naive to trap you with a dream illusion. But if you want to frighten me, you are not qualified. Let us have a competition. Who is the real fear? Dick released a strong black aura. At this moment, he was like an emissary who came over in the dark night. His whole body was hidden in the darkness, except his eyes. He pointed at Wolf King. At this moment, a great sense of crisis suddenly shrouded the Wolf King. Even though it was already the Beastmaster in the fog forest, it still felt the piercing danger. A sharp wolf's howl burst out from its mouth. At this time, it did not want to lead its fellow race to escape. It was a Beastmaster, so it couldn't dodge even when it was threatened. Otherwise, how could it be so dignified? Dark erosion has already been activated when the Wolf King howls. The surging black gas, like waves, collided with the wolves. A dark shadow appeared on each wolf's body, covering its fur. What made these wolves really afraid was the change in their blood vitality and energy. The moment they were hit, these 2 values began to fall rapidly. Even their level was falling like a cliff. The magical beasts, who lived in the depths of the fog forest, had never seen such a talent that could deprive one's talent. For a moment, all of them were in a panic, and even the Wolf King, standing in the front, trembled with fear. It was really scared. The reason why it could become the Beastmaster in the fog forest was because of its powerful strength. But now, the strength that it relied on to survive was gradually fading away, so how could it not be frightened? Just as it was hesitating whether it should escape or continue to attack Dick, a deafening roar suddenly came into its mind. That was Night Roar. The talent was activated at the right time. The Wolf King felt that its mind was in a mess, as if many demons popped out and tore its nerves, trying to completely smash it. The effect of fear made the Wolf King unable to continue to hesitate. The threat of death made this proud master give up its dignity at this moment. With a difficult howl, it fled the valley with its own race. Dick didn't chase after them but sat on the floor. It was obvious that Night Roar couldn't cause the effect of fear on the Wolf King. At the moment of activating his talent, Dick chose to add the suppressing effect of Sacred Blood, which was unexpected. And the cost was obvious. After the effects of skipping a level, Dick's own energy fell sharply, and even his talent for simulation couldn't hold on any longer. In this case, there was no way for Dick to continue to attack. But this time, he had achieved enough. Hundreds of demonic wolves were killed by him in this attack. When the Wolf King escaped, there were less than 100 wolves following it. Moreover, they were hit by the dark erosion. In other words, for a long time in the future, this group of demonic wolves could only endure the falling blood vitality and energy as well as the disappearing strength. The growth of the magical beasts was different from that of human beings. After their strength dissipated, it was impossible for them to recover quickly by hunting other magical beasts like human beings. They could only accumulate gradually over a long time. As long as Dick regained his energy, he could continue to chase the Wolf King. At that time, the strength of the Wolf King had been consumed a lot, and Dick could easily complete the task. Dick didn't want to continue, so he lay down in the basin. This was the habitat of the demonic wolves, and no other magical beasts dared to approach this area. Now that all the demonic wolves had been driven away by Dick, this became the safest place. It was not until then that he noticed that Edward's profile picture was constantly shaking. Dick's brows furrowed as he clicked on the chat channel. His good mood after killing the demonic wolves faded away. Dick, are you there? Another resource gambling was launched by a green, Hand Village. It's number 7274 Green, Hand Village. According to what I've learned, they entered the regional chat system almost at the same time as number 666 Green, Hand Village. The other Green, Hand Village players said that the number 7274 Green, Hand Village also did this to them. In addition to the number 7274 Green, Hand Village, there are several other Green, Hand Villages who are also preparing to gamble with us. Dick sighed and pinched between his eyebrows. It seemed that he had been too naive to think that the Green, Hand Villages in the regional chat channel were friendly. There was no lack of such aggressive people at any time. Although he hadn't received the announcement of the beginning of the resources gambling, he thought that since number 7274 Green, Hand Village and number 666 Green, Hand Village were the same kind of people, it wouldn't be long. Looking at the regional chat channel, there were not only the arrogant speech of number 7274 Green, Hand Village but also many fierce provocations from other Green, Hand Villages, who were in collusion with number 7274 Green, Hand Village. What was more, number 666 Green, Hand Village that they defeated was also labeled as a shame, was being humiliated together. Although the people of number 1002548 Green, Hand Village tried their best to fight back, they were not reasonable at all, and it was difficult for them to gain the upper hand in a short time. Dick snorted and tapped on the chat channel with a cold face. Number 7274 Green, Hand Village, right. Now that you want to do that resources gambling, come on. I'm just worried that the resources are not enough, and the magical beasts are not enough to kill. I hope you can struggle as much as you want in the gamble because no matter what you do, you will definitely lose in the end. This was the first time that Dick had spoken on the regional chat channel, and as the strongest speaker of number 1002548 Green, Hand Village, he threw a big bomb on the whole chatting channel. Dick didn't care about the shock that his arrogant words brought to the other Green, Hand Villages. In other words, he didn't want to care about the feelings of these Green, Hand Villages anymore. The law of the jungle. Since they already had the idea of plundering others, they should also be prepared to be plundered. 57 Chapter 57 You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dick is too arrogant. How dare he provokes our great Mr. Toby. Toby, let's start the resource gambling now. Let these wild monkeys know how powerful we are. Humph, Toby, if you fail, let us avenge you. Let this arrogant guy know the consequences of being arrogant and talking nonsense. The whole chat channel was in an uproar. Many people's eyes were focused on Dick and number 7274 Green, Hand Village. It was the response of the strongest person in number 1002548 Green, Hand Village. The quarrel was naturally different from that in normal times. Dick, are you too bold this time? We are already in an awkward situation. If you say so, more people will gamble on our resources, right? Edward said to Dick with a headache. Although he trusted Dick very much, he was still a little dissatisfied that Dick's action aroused hostility. Edward, I know you are a gentleman. You don't want to make enemies at will. But now, they have bullied us. If we continue to be cowards, what about dignity? Dick's words were full of anger. They are right. This is the world of slaughter. If we don't plunder others, we will only be plundered by others. We won't take the initiative to invade the friendly Green, Hand Villages. But for these people, these plunderers, we will let them taste the feeling of being plundered. We will let them know their sins. Now that he had said that, Edward had to admit that what Dick said was right even if he was unwilling to do so. Well, if you need any help, just tell us earlier. I know you always like to fight alone, but if you face such a large-scale enemy, it will be difficult for you to fight alone. Dick sent a smiling face emoji to Edward. He was not a fool. He wouldn't hide anything when he needed help. The resource gambling was not only his business but also the matter of the whole Green Hand village. He was not that stupid to put all the blame on himself. At this moment, the mysterious voice echoed in the night sky again. Emergency announcement. Number 7274 Green Hand Village has launched a gambling order, forcibly connected to number 100002548 Green Hand Village, and activated the resource gambling. The resource gambling. If one fails, all the resources will be reduced by half, and everyone's attribute will be weakened by 20 points. As for the winner, all the resources would be doubled, and everyone would have 20 more attributes. The content of this competition. One of the strongest players of the two Green Hand villages who rises to the next level in advance wins this gambling. The first to reach the next level wins and will be rewarded with an extra 50 points of nature and a level C treasure box. The chat channels of the two Green Hand villages are connected in parallel. During the gambling, the ranking list of the two Green Hand village players is temporarily blocked. Here they were. Number 7274 Green Hand village did what they said. They started resource gambling so soon. Dick sneered. He was not afraid that number 7274 Green Hand village would start a resource gambling, but he was afraid that these guys would not dare to come. He had already seen the benefits of expanding resources. Since the development of Green Hand village was bound to plunder other people's resources, it would be a better choice to let these arrogant Green Hand villages that plundered other people's resources suffer a great loss. When the wolves retreated, they left their smell. Unlike Dick, they didn't have the talent to hide their breath, nor did they have the wisdom like humans to set up a scene that could deceive the real. So Dick easily found the direction of the retreat of the demonic wolves. His body was quietly attached to the shadow, and he chased in the direction of the retreat of the demonic wolves. Dick was confident that he could reach the next level before No. 7274 Green Hand village, because he had the huge resources of the demonic wolves. More than 100 low-level demonic wolves were enough to push him up one level, not to mention the high-level demonic wolves, including the Wolf King. Number 7274 Green Hand village gambles again. With the experience of number 666 Green Hand village, maybe they gamble with us because it is about the time for them to upgrade, right? No, it's too short. They shouldn't have enough time to accumulate so much experience. Yes, that's true. The last resource gambling has proved that system is fairly fair. I don't think it will cause that kind of situation, right? Dick, come on. We are all your strong backing. If you need any help, just let us know. We promise we will come to you without hesitation. It's not Dick's own business to gamble with resources. We should try our best. Mr. Dick has helped our Green Hand village so many times. It's our turn to help him this time. Dick looked at the comments on the chat channel and couldn't help smiling. He sent a message on the channel. Thank you for your concern. If there is any need, I will tell you. But before that, you have to work hard on the upgrade. Don't waste the double resources. The chatting channel was full of joy. As if they had received an order, they swarmed into the gathering area of the magical beasts, trying their best to raise their level. At this time, Dick had quietly come to the back of the demonic wolves, far following these exhausting wolves. Although Dick could launch an attack now, he didn't want to do so. Although the wolves were very tired now, they still had a strong battle ability, and their spirit did not ease from the battle just now. He had to wait for the wolves to relax. Only when their energy dropped to the extreme could Dick's sneak attack succeed. The cleverness of the Wolf King was far beyond that of an ordinary demonic wolf. If it was in danger, it would definitely trap him with the wolves and then run away first. On the contrary, if he killed the Wolf King from the very beginning, the rest of the wolves would lose their leader, waiting to be killed. Dick was right. Now the wolves were about to reach their limits. The tense atmosphere was torturing them. They urgently needed to find a place to rest and relax. 58 Chapter 58 You are listening at novelfull.audio. Finally, the wolves found a place they thought was safe. Although this was the edge of the core area, the fog was extremely thick, and it had almost reached the limit of the wolves' vision. If it weren't for this time that they imminently need a place to relax, they wouldn't have come here. But what the wolves didn't know was that Dick had followed them silently for a long time. They thought that they seemed to have shaken off the terrible plague. Now they could be bold and relaxed. As soon as they entered the thick fog, the wolves couldn't wait to lie on the ground, licking their fur and stretching their nervous bodies and nerves. The dark erosion made their blood vitality and energy drop sharply. They had no choice but to relax in this way. Moreover, they could only rest for a short time. Due to the lack of blood vitality, they had to go out to eat, so that they could maintain their physiological consumption. Dick was waiting for this opportunity. He couldn't let the wolves kill the magical beasts to replenish their blood vitality. Seeing that the Wolf King had curled up and hidden in the wolves, he knew that it was time for him to move. The wolves became restless. They could feel a huge threat approaching them, but the thick fog made them unable to tell where this threat came from and what it was from. A ball of dim light lit up in front of the wolves. The wolves, which had just suffered the darkness erosion, suddenly rioted. They scrambled to escape from the light. But how could they be faster than Dick? Illusory shock skill activated. The light ball released by Dick broke through the fog and formed a surging shock wave. The demonic wolves, enveloped by the light, suddenly felt that their brains were blurred. Although they were still sober and wanted to resist, they didn't have the strength at all. The illusory shock forced them into the illusion. They knew where they were and what they were doing, but their bodies wouldn't listen to their control. Their spirits had fallen to a critical point. Even the Wolf King already had consumed a lot of energy. When the dark erosion started, it stood in front of the wolves and suffered the most. After lying on the ground for a while, the Wolf King had fallen asleep. Now it was attacked by the illusory shock again. It fell into the illusion in its sweet dream. All the wolves stood still like wood, and Dick seized the opportunity and rushed out, waving the moonlight machete. The blood and flesh flew in all directions, and the sound of the flesh and hair being torn could be heard continuously. With the help of Dick's skill, more than half of the 100 demonic wolves fell into the illusion. As for Dick, his body was as fast as a beam of light, and even those sober demonic wolves couldn't capture his body. 10 seconds passed quickly. Except for the Wolf King, almost all the demonic wolves trapped in the illusions were killed by Dick. The blood was all over the ground. Dick, on the other hand, felt a little unsatisfied. He raised the moonlight machete with both hands and slashed at the Wolf King's head. A strong wind swept up, and a strong air burst out from the mouth of the Wolf King. It hit Dick's arm and threw Dick high up. That was the wind controlling. Even Dick couldn't resist the talent of the Wolf King. He could only activate the butterfly wings in the air and turn over, trying to fall to the ground. At this moment, a hurricane gathered under Dick's feet. Each gale was like a sharp blade, spinning and cutting towards Dick. The wind blade. The Wolf King had actually infused his skills into its talent, using the wind blade to create hurricanes. After this hurricane, the Wolf King did not continue to chase, but turned around and ran away. At the same time, the remaining demonic wolves also surrounded him. Damn it! The Wolf King is going to run away. Dick had thought that his body would be attacked by the hurricane, but he didn't expect that his body would only be like a leaf following the wind in the hurricane. And on his body, a badge was shining. The wind badge. This item worked unexpectedly. It not only protected Dick from being hurt in the hurricane but also gave Dick a chance to control his body. The demonic wolves pounced on Dick, trying to kill Dick in the hurricane. But when they approached, they were frightened to find that this human was not controlled by the hurricane at all. Instead, he was like a duck to water in the hurricane. But they were already in the air. Even if they had found something wrong with Dick, they couldn't change their movements. Although the flow controlling could help them to control and change the direction of the airflow to a certain extent, the effect was very small for themselves. It was impossible to lift their bodies. As a result, the demonic wolves suffered a tragedy. In the hurricane, Dick used the power of the wind to float, and the moonlight machete had already crossed the bodies of the demonic wolves. The blood flowed along with the hurricane, and the flesh and blood were in a mess. The bodies of these more than a dozen demonic wolves were stirred into muddy flesh in an instant. While the Wolf King was escaping, it turned its head and saw more than a dozen of its fellows die miserably in an instant, and a miserable wolf's howl burst out from its mouth. However, it did not stop. It knew that this human being like the god of death would definitely come to it after killing its kind. It ran as fast as it could and plunged into the fog forest in a panic. The once king of the fog forest was like a stray dog at this moment. Dick, of course, wouldn't let go of the Wolf King. In midair, he had already locked the position of the Wolf King. With the power of the hurricane and the effect of the flow controlling, Dick flew more than 100 meters away. The moment he fell to the ground, his right leg hit the ground hard and his whole body shot out like a cannonball. The Wolf King only felt a gust of cold wind rapidly approaching it from behind as if it was about to pierce through its soul. 59 Chapter 59 You are listening at novelfull.audio. At number 7274 Green, Hand Village, on a vast grassland, Toby was sitting on the ground and looking up at the sky. Toby, what are you thinking about? Are you still worried that those monkeys will take your victory? A man in a suit stood beside Toby. In this world of killing, this man's strength was definitely extraordinary since he could refine his equipment as the look of these on the earth. But he was respectful to Toby. Andre, I'm not worried that those monkeys will take my victory. I'm just wondering if we have the chance to challenge that person after we win the resource gambling. Toby said like self-talk. He was not in a hurry to upgrade. From the beginning of this resource gambling, there had been a lot of people sending the dying magical beasts to him. He only needed to use a simple knife to kill the magical beasts. He was a nobleman and enjoyed a high position in number 7274 Green, Hand Village. As long as he wanted to say something, someone would send the magical beasts to him. After the start of the gambling, his experience points had increased by a lot, and now there were only 200 or 300 experience points left before it reached the next level. Moreover, the people of number 7274 Green, Hand Village had already subdued 2 dying magical beasts and were quickly sent to him. He would be promoted to the next level in a few minutes. Are you talking about Sphinx? You are powerful, so there is no problem. Although there is still a gap in the level, you have a secret weapon. Andre said respectfully. There was fanaticism in his eyes, which was his strong confidence in Toby. Well, you don't have to flatter me. I know the gap between me and Sphinx. Although I have a level talent, that guy is a real monster. Toby waved his hand. Although he said so, he looked very proud. It could be seen that he was very confident in his own strength. Andre, do you know there is a custom in Japan called seppuku? It's the way that those Japanese use to express their determination and apologize. Toby's question left Andre in a daze. He wasn't sure what Toby is going to do, then he asked. Yes, I know. But what does it have to do with now? Toby took out a delicate dagger from his backpack and handed it to Andre. Andre took the dagger and looked at Toby in confusion. For a moment, he didn't know where to put his hand. I will definitely win this time. This is the first step for me to conquer the big region. After this time, the number 7274 Green, Hand Village will be expanded to 6 times the original number. My dignity doesn't allow me to lose to a Green, Hand Village who has just entered the region. And I don't allow a small bug to stop me. So if I lose this time, please commit seppuku to me. Andre's mouth was wide open. He didn't expect that Toby would make such a decision this time and he would say that he wanted to commit seppuku if he lost. You don't have to be confused or ask me. This is my decision. You just need to carry it out. Toby waved his hand. He stood up and took out his weapon. The chatting system showed that his people had sent the magical beasts to the place near him. He only needed to wave his knife to win the game. Almost at the same time, Dick stabbed the moonlight machete into the Wolf King's mouth. No matter how fast the Wolf King reacted, it couldn't stop this fatal injury. Although the moment it spat out blood, the surrounding violent storms surged and the mournful storms roared, its life energy was still constantly fading away. As the blood flowed out, circles of white light began to seep from its body. The white lights converged and fell on Dick's body. This was the LV-17 mutated demonic Wolf King. The experience it provided could be described as a massive amount. In the blink of an eye, Dick was promoted to LV-16. And the experience points rose more than 100 before slowly stopping. Dick's machete was slowly pulled down from the top and cut open the demonic wolf's hard fur. He opened the chest of it. In the badly mutilated chest, a heart shining with the gem light was beating fast. Although the demonic wolf was dead, this heart did not stop beating. Dick held the heart in his hand and felt its rhythm in it. He knew that if he cut open this heart and drank the blood right now, he would definitely obtain an extremely great improvement. But this was the heart that the task required. Before completing that task, he had to keep this heart. Task completion notice. Congratulations to Dick from number 1002548 Green, Hand Village for obtaining the heart of the Wolf King. The progress of the task is January 5th. The next target was the Tiger King. It was suggested that 10 strong men above LV-18 should team up. Dick from number 1002548 Green, Hand Village was the first to be promoted to LV-16. Number 1002548 Green, Hand Village won the resources gambling. All the resources of number 1002548 Green, Hand Village doubled, everyone's attribute increased by 20 points. All the resources of number 7274 Green, Hand Village were reduced by half, and the attribute was deducted by 20 points. Dick took the lead in the upgrade and won. He will be rewarded with an extra 50 points and a level .C treasure box. The notice and announcement appeared almost one after another, and the whole number 1002548 Green, Hand Village was in a jubilant mood. It was like a gift from God. From the beginning of resource gambling to the victory of resource gambling. It had only been a little more than one day, but Dick had completed the upgrade and defeated number 7274 Green, Hand Village. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, no one would have believed that the speed of upgrade could really exist. Such a fast winning speed of upgrade could be said to be the only one in the entire Green, Hand Village region. Edward, the former No. 1 of Green, Hand Village, was also stunned at the scene. He could only shake his head with a bitter smile. Just a few days ago, I was still the first in the entire Green, Hand Village. But now, I'm afraid that in 2 or 3 more days, I might be surpassed by Dick 2 or 3 levels. 60 Chapter 60 You are listening at novelfull.audio. In number 7274 Green, Hand Village, 2 magical beasts had been sent to Toby, but he had no intention of hunting. His lips trembled uncontrollably because of anger. The men who sent the magical beasts to Toby knelt on the ground, trembling all over. They didn't even dare to look up at Toby. Good. What a good Dick. I can't believe that he has the ability to compete with me for the upgrade. That's great. Toby smiled crazily. He didn't know if he was too angry or he was irritated by the sudden failure. He grabbed the man kneeling on the ground in front of him fiercely and forced him with his fierce eyes. Why did your magical beasts come so late? Don't you know that this is gambling about the resources of our Green, Hand Village? It's all your fault. It's all your slow action that makes us fail. Those people were even more scared, especially the one whose neck was grabbed by Toby. His voice trembled and he didn't know where to look. But, sir, it's not our fault. These two magical beasts are both LV-16. It's already very difficult for us to subdue them. We can't do anything about it now. We've tried our best. We have lost a total of 10 people to hunt these two magical beasts. Toby felt annoyed and slapped hard on the man's face, and the latter's face immediately swelled up. He collapsed to the ground and dared not say a word. Humph! How dare these despicable people to hinder my victory? They are unforgivable. Toby glared at the dagger in Andre's hand, gnashing his teeth. Ah! Mr. Toby, didn't you say that if you couldn't win, you would? Need me to commit seppuku for you now? As for Andre's words, Toby's reaction was to punch hard in Andre's face. Caught off guard, he fell to the ground with a nosebleed, but he didn't dare to say a word of complaint. Dick, I'll remember him. It's impossible for Green Hand Village to be confined all the time. Now that there is a regional chat channel, all Green Hand Villages will be in parallel in the future. I'll definitely take revenge on you at that time. Toby roared, looking up at the sky. Of course, Dick wouldn't know Toby's angry roar. He was in a good mood now, grinning from ear to ear. After killing the Wolf King, a level.b treasure box fell, and Dick opened a level .3 item from it. Level .3 items. Wolf Soul Cloak. It appeared after killing the Wolf King, and there was only one in each Green Hand Village. The wearer could gain the power of the Wolf King, and at the same time, he could become the Wolf King. The duration was 5 minutes. Time of cooling down. 2 hours. The skill attached to this level .3 item was actually able to make the user transform into the Wolf King. It was an item that could transform people in a real sense. After becoming the Wolf King, he would naturally have the same talent and skills as the Wolf King. Even when he was in the same state as the Wolf King, it could be said that he had a strong suppressive effect on all the magical beasts in the fog forest. More importantly, unlike other items, this cloak had a minimum level of use. That was to say, even if a person with only LV0 wore this cloak, you could have the power of the Wolf King with LV17 within 5 minutes. Dick couldn't wait to put the cloak on him. A strong beast's breath came from him. Dick was very familiar with it. It was the unique smell of the Wolf King. He couldn't help but raise his head and soared into the sky, unexpectedly letting out a wolf's howl from his mouth. In an instant, the whole forest was shaking. The magical beasts, who had been trying to get close to Dick, ran away after hearing the howl. The Wolf King was still alive, and he was still the king of this fog forest. Dick's howl sent out such a fierce message, which immediately convinced countless magical beasts. They didn't dare to go any further. So I'm the Beastmaster now. Dick was surprised and confused. However, the surprise brought to Dick by the Wolf King was far more than that. There was a round token in the stuff from the Wolf King. At first, Dick didn't even see the token. He focused all his attention on the treasure chest, but now he calmed down and took out the token. Only then did Dick find that this token was a gambling token. Their number 1002548 Green Hand Village had been gambled by other Green Hand Villages all the time. Although their Green Hand Village had won the victory and gained a lot of benefits, it was definitely not a good feeling to be in trouble with others. Although number 7274 Green Hand Village had been defeated by them, more Green Hand Villages were still eyeing them. Those Green Hand Villages who had a strong desire to invade were eager to eat up Dick and his Green Hand Village. I have told you that since you want to rob others, you should be prepared to be plundered. From this gambling token, none of those who have insulted our Green Hand Village and provoked us can escape. Dick said to himself, looking at the gambling token in his hand. He opened the regional chat channel. As expected, those Green Hand Villages, who claimed to make number 1002548 Green Hand Village pay the price, jumped out again. And as usual, number 7274 Green Hand Village and number 666 Green Han Village were also included. Number 69524 Green, Han Village, number 100102 Green, Han Village. Dick called the names of the Green, Han villages and kept those arrogant Green, Han villages in mind. Just then, a notice popped up in the regional channel. Congratulations on number 100254 Green, Han Village producing an LV-15 warrior, who is about to enter the regional chat channel. Immediately, the people who had attacked number 100254 Green, Han Village crazily changed their target. After chatting with the new Green, Han Village, they revealed their sharp tusks, ready to plunder the newly promoted Green, Han Village. These robbers. What was the difference between such behavior and a beast? Dick thought angrily. He pinched the gambling token in his hand and activated the resource gambling. He didn't want to wait any longer. He was going to give the most arrogant Green, Han Village a head-on blow.